Iruma's Adventures in the Netherworld by MU1622, found on Wattpad, fanfiction.net, and Archive of Our Own. Chapter 40, Departure. Iruma point of view. Gobta takes me through the streets to a strange-looking building. The security going in looked pretty tight, but once again, it seems that Gobta is well known enough to get through without much difficulty. The man guarding the entrance did ask a few questions about who I was and why I was with Gobta, but the mentioning of Rimuru's name and the fact that I'm their guest was plenty enough to satisfy him. Along the walls is an assortment of doors leading to smaller rooms. There is also what looks like a reception desk run by a goblina. Her eyes light up and she sits up in her chair a little straighter when she notices us, Gobta in particular. "Oh, Sir Gobta, nice to see you again," the woman says familiarly. She clearly knows Gobta personally, or at least talks with him fairly regularly based on the casualness in her tone. "Nice to see you too. I'd like 2 tickets for teleportation, please," Gobta says to her. "With custom coordinates, right? The usual ones?" "You know me too well," Gobta says, smiling widely at her. She blushes and turns her head away slightly. "How would you like to pay this time?" "My executive account, please." "More official business?" she asks. "You've got it," Gobta replies. "You're such a busy man, Sir Gobta. Always making trips on behalf of Tempest. You go to Dworgen on business, what, at least twice a month?" "What is Dworgen?" "Yes, I am, but make sure to keep this trip off the records. It's a secret mission," Gobta says to her with a wink, causing her to blush a little again. "My lips are sealed, Sir Gobta," she replies in a hushed voice. The goblina takes a few moments, interacting with some sort of strange device with a screen. It doesn't quite look like a computer, but something similar. For one, it doesn't have any cords attached to it, so it can't be running on electricity. Maybe it's magic-powered? That seems to be the trend around here. The thing prints 2 small slips of paper, and she hands each of us one. With both of us now having a ticket in hand, the goblina leads us across the room. She gave me a puzzled look, as if she was wondering why I was with Gobta, but she didn't ask anything since Gobta told her that the trip is a secret. I still don't understand where Gobta is taking me, but I at least understand that that was a lie on his part. The room she brought us to is one of the few with strange-looking panels to the side of the door, the others having a simple sign. On the panel, there's an assortment of what appears to be buttons with strange symbols on them embedded in it. Magic runes, maybe? I think I saw something similar in that array that I tapped my resurrection bracelet on earlier. The goblina touches a deliberate combination of said symbols/runes, causing them to light up as she does before turning to us again, smiling and gesturing for us to enter. "There, I've set it all up for you. You may proceed. It may take a minute or 2 to charge before departure, although I'm sure you are already aware of that, Sir Gobta," she says in a way that makes me think it's rehearsed. It seems like something she has to say to everyone, all except for the last part, where it was in a warmer tone. Gobta steps inside with confidence, and I follow closely behind, a little reluctant. The door gets closed behind us, and the strange metal floor I find now under our feet has an elaborate pattern inscribed into it. The lines of the engraving begin to glow, their light slowly growing in intensity. Where are we going, Gobta? What's this Dworgen she was talking about?" I ask, kind of scared to teleport somewhere unknown. "The armed nation of Dworgen," he answers. "Nation? So this takes you to a different country?" Wait a second, Gobta. Are we leaving the country? Didn't Rimuru tell you not to bring me outside of Tempest?" I ask, nervously, feeling like I'm being dragged into trouble by this hobgoblin again. "It's fine," he replies enthusiastically. When he sees my still apprehensive expression, he continues. "The Dwarven Kingdom is a close ally, so it's perfectly safe. I had a little trouble the first 2 times I went there, but now, not a chance." Gobta telling me that he had problems when he visited that place doesn't ease my nerves at all, but I think it's too late for me to back out of this. I'll just have to trust Gobta when he says it's safe. There's a quick flash of light, causing me to wince and close my eyes. I rub them a little as they water from the blinding flash, and when I uncover them, I find myself on a street. We're off to the side, but the place is bustling as people walk around us to get to wherever they are headed. I'm still clutching the ticket in one hand as I look around. Make sure you don't lose that. I'll have to pay for a trip back home if you do, Gapta says. The ticket must be a round-trip one then, I suppose, so I'll have to make sure not to let it out of my sight. I nod my head in acknowledgement. This place is definitely not Tempest, the buildings appearing to be embedded in the rock cave-like walls on either side of the street. We're kinda underground, but there's still light coming from the sun poking between the stones overhead. It's a lot more cramped, but not to the degree of being uncomfortable. The mix of people here seem to be different too, most of them looking human for the most part, but almost all of them having short and stocky builds. Are those dwarves? I asked Gapta, piecing together that they probably are, since Gapta called this place the Dwarven Kingdom. Yep, he says, but that's not who we're here for. Come on! What does he mean by who we're here for? Gapta pulls me so I'm facing towards the building we teleported in front of. I see a sign above the door reading, Butterflies of the Night. Is this the butterflies Rimuru was talking about? Here we are! The Promised Land, Gapta says as he gazes up at the sign. What is this place? I ask. You'll see once we are inside. It's an amazing place where dreams and fantasies become reality, Gapta announces, his eyes sparkling with excitement. With a large grin on his face, Gapta swings the entrance open. I peer inside and see a variety of girls and women wearing a variable amount of clothing, some quite revealing, making my cheeks turn hot. I freeze in the doorway, stiff as a board, intimidated by what I'm seeing. Oh, Mr. Gapta, what a surprise! One of the ladies says as she notices us. I notice her ears are pointed, so she must be an elf. She's very pretty and gets uncomfortably close to both of us, stroking the side of Gapta's cheek with a seductive look in her eyes. Should I even be here? I ask with a stutter as I start to realize this might not be the place for someone my age. Oh, you're fine. You're old enough to handle some beautiful ladies, Gapta reassures me, but it doesn't help at all. Who is this cutie? The elf asks, now gazing at me with her pretty eyes. I'm Iruma, I managed to squeak out a response while looking down at my feet. Aw, he's shy, she responds in a babying voice, making me feel even more uncomfortable. She reaches out as if to pinch my cheek, but stops mid-motion. The sound of glass shattering rings in my ears, and I feel an immense pressure fill the room. Gapta? I hear a deeper, yet familiar voice from off to the side, out of the line of sight where I first looked at the room. The smiling faces of all the elf ladies snap to looks of surprise when they turn their attention to the source of the voice. Rimuru. A very upset Rimuru. Oh no. The sound must have come from the cup Rimuru was holding, now pulverized to almost nothing in her angrily clenched fist. The remains now on the counter of the bar below it that Rimuru is sitting at. Rimuru stands up with purpose and starts approaching me and Gapta. The elf ladies making way for her with scared expressions spread across all their faces. They all look terrified, and some of them are clearly baffled, not expecting Rimuru to act like she is right now. I'm in a similar state of shock, only having seen Rimuru at this level of anger once. Mr. Slime? One of the elf women asks them cautiously as Rimuru passes by her, but Rimuru is solely focused on Gapta right now and doesn't pay her any mind. The room is dead silent outside of the sound of Rimuru's boots as she slowly makes her way towards us. The pressure I've been experiencing increases as Rimuru draws near, making it hard for me to even breathe and freezing me in place. What the hell is Iruma doing here? Rimuru asks quietly once she gets somewhat closer. Her tone and expression are ominously level and calm, but I know that she's extremely upset right now. Gapta attempts to flee out the door, but before he can move more than an inch, Rimuru instantly appears in front of us and grabs him roughly by the arm. Gapta winced as Rimuru clutched him aggressively, painfully digging her fingers into his skin and drawing blood as she does. Lord Rimuru, I didn't think I'd see you here, Gopta says with a fake smile, trying to hide his fear. I, I didn't know, I try to explain, but the words don't come to me properly. Rimuru turns her head toward me. She's smiling, but not in a happy way. I'm asking Gopta questions right now, Iruma. Please be quiet, she says simply, a large amount of pressure behind her words. The way she's speaking to me is much different than normal, and it's terrifying. I quickly nod my head, not wanting Rimuru to get even angrier at me. Now, I'll ask again, Gopta. Why is Iruma here? Rimuru asks, her words like daggers piercing into Gopta. For fun? He replies hesitantly, his pitch rising at the end, making it sound like a question. You idiot! Rimuru finally snaps, raising her voice. This is a bar, and Iruma is a kid. You weren't supposed to take him anywhere outside of Tempest. Rimuru lectures, clutching and twisting Gopta's arm harder in punishment as she does. He squeals and whimpers before managing to get a few words out. I know. I just wanted to give Iruma a good time before he had to go back with you, Gopta whines. There are plenty of places that are more kid-friendly that you could have taken him to for fun. Ugh, what a mess. What am I going to say to Sullivan if he finds out his grandson went to a place like this? Damn it! Rimuru complains, holding her head in frustration with her free hand. Her other one is still holding Gopta's arm at an uncomfortable angle. Rimuru sighs before turning her attention to Gopta again, a little calmer after seemingly sorting out their thoughts. Now, what to do with you? Rimuru says ponderingly. There's a small pause, filled with an unsettling silence, as Rimuru decides on Gopta's punishment. Unable to take the tension any longer, Gopta breaks the uncomfortable quiet. Please don't send me to work with Ultima, Gopta whines. Work with Ultima? I wasn't thinking about that. But now that you mention it, Rimuru grins. No, anything but that. Last time I had nightmares for weeks, Gopta protests further. What, you don't like participating in interrogations? Ultima got a new toy yesterday, so I'm sure she'd love a little assistance with them, Rimuru says in a teasing tone. Ultima got a new toy? Do they mean that man that attacked her yesterday? Lord Rimuru, please don't make me see that stuff again, Gopta pleads. I'll have to think about it, but for now, go home. With a wave of her free hand, Gopta vanishes, leaving the one she was holding him with empty. Rimuru must have teleported him back to Tempest. Rimuru then turns their attention to me, wearing a blank expression. I start to tremble in anticipation of a scolding, but Rimuru quickly turns back towards the group of elves behind her. Here I am again, causing trouble for all you nice ladies, Rimuru says apologetically. You are no trouble at all, Demon Lord Rimuru, the elf says with a polite bow. Rimuru frowns slightly when she says this, not liking something about what the woman said. Please, don't address me with my title while I'm here. I like to keep things casual when I'm relaxing like this. I'm not here on official business, so treat me like you would any other customer, Rimuru says calmly. Sorry, Mr. Slime, the woman says, correcting herself. It's all good. There's no need for you to apologize. After all that hullabaloo, I should get going, though. But first, here, Rimuru says as she tosses a small bag to one of the elves. The metallic clinking noise it made as it was caught makes me think it was full of coins. That should cover the drink and the broken glass, plus a little extra for the trouble. No worries. We look forward to seeing you again. I'm glad. Have a good night, all of you, Rimuru says with a wave. Rimuru pulls the hood of her hoodie over her head and gently pushes me out of the doorway. She does a double take both ways down the street and pulls her hood down a little more. Grabbing a hold of my wrist, Rimuru pulls me to the bustling crowd and leads me down the street before dipping into a narrow, dark alleyway. I didn't put up any resistance since I knew that it wouldn't do me any good. Rimuru stands there for a moment with her eyes closed, not saying a word. Are you mad at me? I ask. Shh. No, I'm not upset with you, but I need you to be quiet for a minute. I have to be discreet, and I need to focus since Yale refused to help me with this, Rimuru whispers before closing her eyes again. Confused about what Rimuru was talking about, I look around us a little. I quickly notice something under my feet. A deep purple magic circle forming on the ground below both of us. It's much more elaborate than the pattern that was engraved on the disc that I stood on to get here. Without much warning, we teleport somewhere else. Something about it felt different than the other times, and the strange sensation accompanying it lasted a bit longer. Looking around again, we seem to be in Rimuru's office again. Okay, I think we're in the clear, Rimuru says quietly with a relieved sigh. She walks over to the chair at her desk, sits down, and slumps in it, her hood slipping off her head as she does. So much for relaxing. I stand in the middle of the room, feeling awkward as Rimuru lays in her chair with her eyes closed and her arms behind her head, completely silent for a minute. After the uncomfortable pause, Rimuru opens one eye and peers at me. You, me, and Gobta being at that bar, that stuff never happened. Do you understand? She says sternly. What? We're gonna keep tonight's event a little secret, so forget that ever happened, all right? Yes, of course. Good. Glad that's taken care of, Rimuru says, sounding truly relaxed for the first time since we were reunited. I fidget in place, still not over how scary Rimuru was with Gobta a few minutes ago. Did I scare you? She asks sympathetically, noticing my discomfort. Yes, you did. Sorry, but I had to go hard on Gobta. He really messed up. I was expecting him to screw up again, but not that badly, Rimuru explains, but it doesn't really cheer me up. I feel bad for Gobta, since it seems like he's going to be punished pretty harshly, but in the end, it was Gobta's fault, and the reason Rimuru got mad was on my behalf. Don't worry, Iruma. Gobta is probably just going to get some extra work to do. Half of his punishment was me scaring him, Rimuru continues after noticing that her words didn't calm me down at all. Really? I ask. Yep, since we're keeping this incident on the down low, I can't really give him anything harsher than that. But still, I don't want that to be the last thing you experience while you're here, so how about I show you one of my favorite spots? The view is even better than the one I showed you from the window, especially at night, Rimuru says. Excited by the idea, I agree. I was expecting Rimuru to teleport there, but instead, it seems like we're gonna walk. I think she's picked up on the fact that I don't enjoy it when she does that. I follow Rimuru outside, and I can see that the sun's light is fading as it dips below the horizon. There are streetlights along the road, though, so seeing isn't a problem. Rimuru pulled her hood up again soon after we got onto the street. Why are you doing that? To avoid grabbing too much attention. It's not a perfect solution, but it helps with the general public without perception skills. I thought you would like it better if we aren't stopped by a bunch of people who are excited to see me. Even with the fading light, the happy, cheerful feel of the city is still there. Laughter and music fill the air, coming out of different buildings as we make our way down the street. Even with her hood pulled up, I can see that Rimuru is smiling contentedly as she looks at all the people around us. A proud smile, but not arrogant. Seeing stuff like this never gets old, Rimuru says quietly to herself, still smiling. What doesn't get old? I ask. Oh, you heard that? I see. I just love seeing everyone so happy, so peaceful. It makes me want to protect all those smiles, you know? Rimuru says happily. Before I can respond, a small child, maybe 4 or 5 years old, comes running at us, not looking where he's going. The kid ends up running straight into Rimuru, bumping into her leg. Rimuru looks startled for a moment because she was lost in thought when the child ran into her. She looks down at them with a concerned expression before crouching down and holding out her hand. Having fallen from bumping into Rimuru, the little boy looks like he's on the verge of tears, but as soon as he sees Rimuru's face, he almost immediately calms down. Hey there, kiddo. You should look where you're going, Rimuru says sweetly. The kid just sits on the ground, staring at Rimuru's face, not moving or saying something. You're so pretty, he says innocently. There's a small pause before Rimuru responds. You think so? Well, thank you for the compliment, Rimuru replies, a tiny hint of irritation slipping out into her voice. The kid isn't wrong. Rimuru is pretty, but I know for a fact they don't like people pointing that out very much. He finally responds to Rimuru's outstretched hand, and she helps him stand up. After getting to her feet, he continues to stare up at Rimuru's face with his mouth slightly agape. Rex? Rex! Where did you run off to? I hear someone's voice call out from the direction the child ran from. Author's note. The kid's name is a reference to someone in my Discord server. Is that your name? I ask him after hearing the person. He nods his head slightly. It seems like someone is looking for you, Rimuru says to the kid named Rex, ruffling his hair a little before picking him up by his armpits. A woman pushes through the thin crowd, her face wearing a desperate expression as she looks around frantically. He's over here, Rimuru calls out, waving one arm in the air while holding the little boy with the other. This immediately grabs her attention, and she makes a beeline for Rimuru. Oh, thank goodness, she says, sounding relieved as Rimuru hands her the child. Sweetie, you can't run off like that. You had your mommy so scared, the woman says to Rex. Now holding Rex, she looks at both me and Rimuru. Thank you so much. I was worried that someone bad might get their hands on him. No problem at all, Rimuru says with a friendly smile. Yeah, we didn't even do much, I add, feeling awkward about being thanked for something that any decent person would do. The woman then stares at Rimuru's face, much like her child did a moment ago. Wait a moment. Those eyes, that face. I think I recognize you, the woman says before a look of realization replaces the puzzled expression she was wearing. Aren't you? I'm nobody. Have a good night, ma'am, Rimuru says curtly before hustling away from the woman, once again pulling me by the wrist. She also pulls her hood down further again so the woman can't get another look at her face as we leave. That was close, Rimuru says once we're out of the sight of the woman. If she had recognized me and said my name out loud, we would have been held up for a long time. Is it okay if we teleport the rest of the way? I know you don't like it, but I'd like to avoid another situation like that if I can. Sure, Rimuru. I don't want to grab a bunch of attention either. Rimuru quickly teleports us to our destination. It's a grassy cliff, one with a single tree near the edge, along with a small stack of rocks. In the time it took us to get here, it's gotten fully dark out, making the sea of lights below stand out even more. This must be Tempest from an overhead view. Another vast expanse of glowing specks stretches above us as well, a sea of stars as far as the eye can see. The combination is breathtaking, one of the prettiest things I've ever seen. Wow, is all I can say as I stare at it. Told ya, Rimuru says, grinning at my reaction, but it doesn't last long. She soon turns her attention to the pile of stones nearby, and her expression saddens. What's wrong? I ask. Nothing's wrong, Rimuru says, her smile returning as she looks back at me. Just enjoy the view for a few minutes. I need to grab Sullivan so we can all return to the Netherworld. You should get some rest in your actual bed, since we have school tomorrow. Third-person point of view. Deep in the labyrinth of Tempest, two demons are having an intense battle. A fight for fun, one between two friends. The air is lit up with a flurry of spells shooting between the two men suspended in the air. One greatly outclassed the other in strength, but a quick defeat would be no fun, so he is holding back a great deal. Smiles are showing on both of their mouths, and the sound of laughter fills the air, mixing with the roars and booms of the spells they continuously hurl at each other without hesitation. Sullivan may not be as strong as Diablo, but that doesn't mean that he can't have a friendly bout with his old friend. He hasn't been able to use his magic unrestricted like this in a very long time. That is because a place like this does not exist in the Netherworld, a place where the death of your opponent means nothing, and destruction of the surrounding area is little consequence. The room the two demons are having their fun in was designed for intense battles, so the level of power both are utilizing isn't posing any harm to its structure. It is made to withstand the power of Veldora Tempest, a true dragon, so no damage was happening during the duel between demons. They have been doing this for the last 2 days, only taking a small break to attend a party the previous night. Sullivan has been having too much fun to want to do much else. They started with a small tour soon after arriving in the monster country, But that did not last after Sullivan was shown the labyrinth and its properties. As Diablo explained the labyrinth to him, a sinister grin peeled across his lips, and he got a sparkle in his eyes that Sullivan knew well from the past. "Are you wanting to have a little fight, my old friend?" Sullivan asks Diablo, already knowing that the demon would surely agree to the idea. Diablo loves to fight, just like most demons do. Enough so that he's stopped himself from getting stronger for a good deal of time because it made the fights boring. But something has changed about Sullivan's old friend in the time since meeting Rimuru. Diablo is obsessed with that slime, and Sullivan doesn't blame him. He himself has taken a liking to the demon lord who has been staying in his mansion for the last few months as well. Not on the same level as Diablo, of course, but that doesn't mean he can't see what about the slime interests his friend. "Of course. Why else would I bring you to a place like this?" Diablo responds. Just as Sullivan expected, a duel is exactly what Diablo wanted, and so they asked Veldora if they could utilize his room for combat. Out of all the rooms in the labyrinth, that one is the most ideal for their purpose. Large, wide open, sturdy, and rarely used since it's near impossible for a dungeon challenger to reach. Perfect. Veldora agreed under the condition that he could watch since he is also somewhat of a battle maniac. So the fighting began soon after the two entered Veldora's boss room and has been going on ever since. Ceaseless use of various magics, dodging, blocking, and redirection, cackling laughter and wide smiles. A feeling of exhilaration filled both demons' bodies. "You have gotten stronger, haven't you?" Sullivan asks. "Yes, all for the sake of my beloved master," Diablo replies in between attacks. "I never thought I'd see the day when you would serve someone, Diablo. I was flabbergasted when I learned you gained a name," Sullivan says as he dodges another spell from Diablo. "Yes, but I would not have accepted anyone but my lord as a source of a name. I am sure you have noticed his greatness in the time you have spent near him," Diablo responds simply. "I do see why you chose him, but still, you have always been so independent and aloof, so I can't help but be amazed," Sullivan continues. The two men banter back and forth as they continue to fight, and this continues for hours on end. Diablo defeated Sullivan many times, but with the resurrection properties of the labyrinth, Sullivan simply respawned in the room and continued fighting as if nothing happened. The cycle continues until late on the second day of the visit to Tempest, when someone visits the room they've been dueling in, putting a stop to their antics. Rimuru point of view. It's time to grab Sullivan so he can leave. He's been with Diablo the entire time he's been in Tempest, as far as I know. Knowing Diablo, I'm a little concerned about what those two demons might be up to. My mind was a bit fogged at the time, but I think that Sullivan was not in the best shape last night, like he'd been fighting or something. I hope Diablo isn't pushing him too far, like he was with Opera. Where's he at, Ciel? The individual Sullivan is at the bottom of the labyrinth, specifically Veldora's boss room, as you call it, Master. That's an odd place for him to be, but if Diablo is sparring with him, I suppose it makes sense. That's the largest wide-open room in the labyrinth, so sometimes it's used for friendly duels between some of my stronger subordinates as stress relief. Veldora doesn't mind, since he's usually holed up in his bedroom reading manga if he isn't helping Ramirez. I also know that he enjoys watching people duke it out in there too, so that's another reason he doesn't object to others borrowing it. Do you want to stay here a bit longer, Iruma? Iruma looks indecisive for a moment, but quickly chooses. Can I? He asks excitedly. Sure, Iruma. I'll be right back. I promise. I teleport directly to Veldora's room and find myself witnessing a heated battle, the two demons hurling various spells at each other. I can hear both of them laughing as they chuck many strong, dangerous-looking spells at their opponent. Sullivan seems to be redirecting some of Diablo's magic back at him too, which is pretty impressive. Still, I can tell that Diablo is holding back. He probably put some kind of handicap on himself so he could have more fun with his old friend. He enjoys a challenge, so that sounds like something he'd do. Once my presence is noticed, they both immediately stop and descend from their mid-air duel. My lord, what do I owe the pleasure of your presence? Diablo says with a graceful bow. Once again, Sullivan doesn't look to be in good shape, injured in multiple places, assumedly from Diablo's attacks. He's smiling brightly, though, so I don't think he minds. Demons can be weird like that. Nothing much. I just wanted to let you both know that we'll be leaving soon. You might want to prepare for it, Sullivan.
Oh, is it already time for that? It seems I lost track of time while having fun in this wonderful labyrinth that you have here. I haven't fought this much in centuries, he exclaims.
So you enjoyed yourself then? I'm glad, I reply, smiling.
Yes, as you have asked, I have kept my friend here busy and made sure he learned of the many wonders you have created within it over the years of your reign here, instilling an appreciation for your pride and joy. Your country and its people was a necessity, so I did exactly that, Diablo states in his normal, overdramatic manner.
All I did was tell Diablo to make sure Sullivan enjoyed himself. Yeah, thanks, Diablo. I think you've done well. Although, I heard you caused a little problem last night while I was incapacitated, I say. I had been made aware of what exactly went down while I was out, and I wasn't too happy about what I learned. Diablo's prideful smile fades to a look of fear. I'm not even trying to be menacing, but the thought of failing me always gets Diablo like this.
What do you mean, my lord?
He asks, his voice shaking a little. I heard that you threatened Rimuru, I say flatly.
He was responsible for poisoning you, my lord. I was only doing my duty as your secretary, defending you from threats,
he declares in defense of his actions. I know his intentions weren't bad, but he went too far, so I need to address this. Diablo, you don't threaten my other executives. You know they'd never intend to hurt me, so let me take care of things if this or something similar happens in the future.
Yes, my lord,
Diablo says with a pout on his face, acting much like a kicked puppy. Thanks for de-escalating things too, Sullivan, I say to the other demon in the room.
Not a problem, he responds.
Go ahead and prepare to leave now, Sullivan. Diablo, could you help him out, please? I'm gonna go get Rimuru ready to go.
Certainly, my lord,
Diablo responds. After letting them know that we're leaving soon, I grab Iruma and take him to his guest room to pack his things up too. It doesn't take very long before both are ready to depart. Diablo's coming back with us, but I'm leaving Veldora in Tempest for sure. I say goodbye to my top executives and friends before going to my office with Diablo, Iruma, and Sullivan. It won't be long before I see them again since I have a Walpurgis to attend in a week, and I'm still not looking forward to that, especially after what happened with Luminous earlier. Pushing aside the thoughts about what I'm going to wear to that meeting, I clear my head and open up a gate directly to the doorstep of Sullivan's mansion. I don't want to have it pop up inside and scare poor Opera. We're greeted at the door by Opera, as expected, and Iruma immediately goes to his room to sleep. I don't blame him. He's had a busy 2 days. I turn in for the night as well, feeling the desire to sleep a little myself. And that concludes Chapter 40 of Rimuru and Iruma's Adventures in the Netherworld. Chapter 41. Waiting for Walpurgis. Iruma point of view. I find myself somewhere. My surroundings are faded, foggy yet familiar, but the name of this place fails to come to me as I struggle to remember it. A rushing sensation fills me as I run through this place, a wide road devoid of movement, of life. Hints of red are scattered to my sides, but I don't pay any attention to them. A crunching sound under my feet reaches my ears, but I block that out as well. My only objective, get to a certain place. I know where it is, but once again, can't put a word to it. Panic, worry, and anxiety fill me to the brim as I desperately try to reach my destination, but the road seems to stretch out forever. But then, suddenly, I'm there. I'm where I was trying to get to, but the anxiousness in my heart worsens further. The relief I expected did not come. There's a thickness to the air around me, a stifling viscosity that makes it hard to think, hard to breathe. This isn't reality, yet it is. What I'm seeing can't be real, but the evidence is overwhelming. Many figures are laid out on the ground around me, motionless. Their faces are indistinguishable to my eyes, yet I feel that same familiarity with them that I do in this strange place. A connection, a closeness that I can't explain, but I know them somehow, and seeing them in this state pains me greatly. My mind fills with emotions that I'm not accustomed to. Anger, rage, sadness, loss, and regret. Oh, so much regret. This is all my fault. If I was here. A voice plays in my head, trailing off. Thoughts that don't feel like my own, but somehow are. If I was here, what? What happened here? I don't even know. But somehow I'm aware that this is all my fault. The emotions are becoming too much to contain, but I don't feel any tears wetting my eyes. I don't hear any cries of despair escape my lips. I'm not doing anything. Simply standing here, motionless, as my head fills to the brim with the pain of my realization. The tension reaches a breaking point and I sit up in bed with a start, a cold sweat on my face. I'm breathing rapidly, trying to catch my breaths I didn't realize I wasn't taking. Still in a panic, I frantically look around and find my surroundings normal. My bedroom, yes, my bedroom in the Netherworld. I'm also in my bed. Yes, all that was just a dream. But I've never had a dream like that in my life. It was so vivid. The emotions too real. I wipe the sweat off my face and take a few more deep breaths, now somewhat calmer. I try to recall some of what I experienced in that odd dream, but the memories of it are already slipping through my mind's fingers. The only thing that lingers is bitterness in my mouth and the feeling of emptiness. Still feeling unsettled, I stumble downstairs for breakfast. Some food will make me feel better. It always does. It's hours earlier than I usually come down to eat, but that's fine. Opera is always up way before I am, so he can get started with his duties and is always willing to make me something if I ask. Glancing at the clock, I realize that Rimuru might not have left yet for school either, so maybe they'll eat with me? Stepping into the dining room, I see Rimuru sitting at the table along with a stack of papers to her side. Rimuru is drinking something out of a mug while working through whatever those papers are, but she stopped when she noticed me and looked at me with a puzzled expression. "You're up awfully early," she says bluntly before taking a sip. "I had a bad dream." "Ah, okay. Do you want to talk about it?" "You seem pretty shaken," Rimuru says, sounding concerned. "I can't remember much about what happened in it, so no. I'll be fine too, so don't worry about me. It was just a dream," I reply. "If you say so," Rimuru says with a shrug. Rimuru picks up the 2 pens she rested on the table, takes one in each hand, and begins writing on the papers in front of her with both simultaneously. "She can write with both hands at the same time? Why am I even surprised? Rimuru has done crazier things." "What is all that?" I ask, looking at the stack of papers. "Work from home," she says, looking me in the eyes again while continuing to write with both hands. I look a little closer at the papers Rimuru is working on and squint to try to read what's on them, but I can't. The spell Grandpa cast on me soon after I came to the Netherworld allows me to understand the demon language, but nothing more. I do recognize what's on those papers, though. It's the type of writing used in Tempest. I, thankfully, didn't run into any problems from not being able to read it while there, since almost every sign had Japanese in smaller font underneath this main written language. "You shouldn't hover over people when they're trying to work," Rimuru says while still writing. Sorry," I reply before sitting back in my chair again. After a minute or two of sitting there silently, the room filled with nothing but the sound of Rimuru's pens scratching on paper, Rimuru sighs and sets both pens on the table. "I suppose I'll have to finish later," she mutters to herself. Both the papers and pens disappear from the table with a wave of Rimuru's hand, causing me to blink in surprise before remembering that Rimuru can do stuff like that. She then stands up from her chair and looks at me. "I need to leave now, so I'll see you later in class, okay?" Sure," I reply with a slight stutter. I don't even remember what happened, but there's still a lingering, unsettling feeling in the pit of my stomach from it. Rimuru frowns slightly. "Are you sure you're all right? You still seem a little upset by whatever was in your dream." "I promise I'm fine, Rimuru," I respond. "See you later in class, Iruma," Rimuru says with a wave as they leave, looking back over their shoulder at me one more time on their way out. Rimuru still seems to be worried about me, but didn't say anything more before departing. Rimuru point of view. I show up early to Babbles just like I have been for the last couple of weeks. Time to help the student council again. I think I'm almost done with this probation period that Omri forced me into, but for the time being, I need to keep showing up early like this. I feel bad leaving since Iruma still seemed to be a bit out of sorts when I left, but he said he was okay, so I probably don't have to worry as much as I am. He never mentioned having bad dreams before. Maybe it's because he was so tired from our trip to Tempest? I've heard that when kids get overtired, they can have bad dreams sometimes, so that could be the cause. Convinced it's probably nothing to worry about, I start my work with the council. Despite the odd start to my day, things with the student council went pretty textbook. That is, until it came time to go on patrol soon before classes start. As our group was making our way down the hallway, Ciel speaks up out of nowhere. Psychological influence detected. Successfully resisted. I didn't even feel anything, so it must not be anything strong. What kind of psychological influence? Before Ciel can answer, I spot someone I assume is behind the influence. A tall boy with long, dark hair and tanned skin dressed extravagantly. He's strutting down the hallway with two girls following behind him. The only effect is drawing the attention of nearby living things. The ability is fairly weak. Anyone with moderate resistance to such things is completely immune to its effects. Everyone around, short of Omri and myself, is staring intently at the boy. He almost appears to have a golden glow around him, likely a consequence of the magic he's using to draw in everyone's attention. He seems extremely full of himself, reveling in the gaze of the surrounding students. I don't even know this guy, and I already think he's extremely annoying. Who's this guy? I ask. That is Rimuru, president of the Disciplinary Battler, the self-designated rival of the student council. But all of that is just for show. He's only interested in getting attention from his peers, Omri states in a tone that makes me think she dislikes this boy quite a bit. As if he could hear my thoughts, the boy looks in our direction and smiles arrogantly. Hello, student council peasants. It seems that you've added someone new to your little group, he exclaims, directing his attention at me specifically. I can tell that the other members of the student council are quite mad at the guy for approaching me like this, but they don't say anything. I completely ignore his presence, keeping my eyes faced forward in the direction that I'm walking in. If this guy wants attention, I'm not giving him any. Hey, girl! I, the great Ronald Ramire, am talking to you. I wonder what the cafeteria will have for lunch today. What do you guys think? I turn and ask the other student council members, completely ignoring the flamboyant demon in front of me. They look at me with shocked expressions, not sure how to react to this situation. He attempts to block my path, but I simply step around him when he does so. I'm faster than him, so it's easy to dodge him as he tries to prevent me from continuing. Why are you ignoring me? He screams, getting progressively more frustrated by my lack of attention. His movements become more erratic as he tries to obstruct me, so I'll give him the time of day. Our interaction has drawn quite the crowd at this point. Whether that is because of this guy's magic or the ridiculousness of this situation, I'm not sure. President, should we do something? Kamiris asks Omri. Hearing this, I give Omri a wink to indicate that I've got the situation under control. No, let Rimuru take care of this herself. She seems to have everything under control, Omri responds, a tiny hint of annoyance leaking through in her voice. Realizing that this Ronov guy isn't going to give up anytime soon, I relent and decide to let him say his piece. All right, I give up. What do you need from me? Pleased that I'm finally ready to listen, he leans in close and stares me in the eyes, an arrogant grin stretched across his face. I give him a blank look, not showing how much he's annoying me in my expression. Would you like to leave the oppressive student council and join the fabulously fun-loving disciplinary battler? He asks me, pulling a rose out from somewhere and sticking it in my face. You want me to go back on my word? Yeah, not happening. I respond bluntly as I push away the flower he tried to give me. What? Plus, why would I want to join a battler led by you, of all people? You're obnoxious and attention-seeking. How dare you insult Master Rumi? Screeches one of the girls with him. This doesn't involve you, I retort. I've heard your accomplishments and popularity. You would make such a wonderful addition to my group, Ronov continues to pester me, waggling that stupid flower in my face again. No, it means no. Now excuse me. I have a patrol to complete, I say before trying to step around him. He tries to block my path again. Now I'm out of patience, so I break my blank expression and glare at him menacingly. This causes him to stumble back slightly, looking shaken. Fine. I accept your denial. I will retreat for today. But this is not the last you will see of me. Ronald Rimuru, he says with an over-the-top bow before sauntering off. The two girls accompanying him shower him with rose petals as he leaves. Do they just do that wherever he goes? What the hell? I wish he would stop trying to involve himself in council business, Grave grumbles. He does stuff like this often? I ask. Not exactly, but he's a problem that crops up fairly regularly, Kimmerus adds. He has it out for the president's position, you see, Smoke says. That is not a concern. I have no reason to believe that he is capable of shaking my hold over the students. He's simply annoying, nothing more, Omri says in a commanding tone. I definitely agree with you on the annoying part, I mutter under my breath. I really am liking you, recruit. I'm glad the president decided to add you to our ranks. You're a lot of fun, Kimmerus says, laughing lightly and playfully slapping me on the shoulder. Yes, the way you dealt with Ronov was pretty amusing, Smoke adds, smirking slightly. Let's focus on our work, Omri says sternly. Yes, sir, all the members say in unison. Even though Ciel described that strange ability of his as weak, I can't help but feel a little concerned about what someone could do with magic of that nature. Back home, skills that influence people psychologically are some of the most dangerous ones, in my opinion. You could argue that brute force could be more threatening, but I don't think that's reality. Affecting someone's thoughts without them knowing is a scarily sneaky way to get the upper hand. Ronov's magic only seems to grab others' attention and nothing more, but still, he's definitely someone to keep an eye on. Iruma point of view. The bad feeling I got from my strange dream lasted for a few hours, but I managed to get over it. Talking with Az and Clara helped with that. They always seem to cheer me up. Class starts, and Professor Caligo walks in. He immediately walks up to where Rimuru is sitting and begins to loom over them. Rimuru seems to be working on the same papers that she was this morning, writing with both hands again and not paying any attention to our teacher. Do you need something? Rimuru asks without looking up from their paper. I do not appreciate the way you ended our meeting a few days ago, Professor Caligo says irritatedly. Sorry, but I had to take care of something right away. Plus, I wasn't going to tell you anything else anyways, so it's not like you missed out on anything, Rimuru says casually, not bothered by Professor Caligo's anger. The last thing you said, was it true? He asks. What, about the aura thing? Rimuru asks, finally looking up at him. Yes. I wasn't bluffing, if that's what you were thinking. Professor Caligo's eyes widen slightly, but then narrow again. I do not believe you, he snarls. Believe whatever you want, Rimuru replies curtly, giving him a slight shrug before starting to write on the paper again with her pens. Tch. Professor Caligo clicks his tongue in irritation before backing off and returning to the front of the classroom. I look over at him, and his cold gaze locks onto me for an uncomfortable few seconds. I look away on reflex, not liking the feeling I get from the way he's looking at me. Thankfully, his staring doesn't last long, and he soon starts teaching. Psst! Hey, Iruma! Lead whispers to me. What? Do you know what those two were arguing about? No, I have no clue. Damn, I was curious what your sister did to piss Caligo off this time. I guess I'll have to ask Rimuru later. Silence! No whispering while I am teaching, you worms! Professor Caligo shouts. Sorry, I respond, shrinking into my chair slightly. I still can't handle being yelled at by him very well. Professor Caligo gives me another cold look before continuing the lesson. A few days later. The next few days go normally, and I don't get any more weird or scary dreams, which I'm thankful for. Rimuru seems to be a bit preoccupied with something, but it's probably to do with that Walpurgis thing that Chloe explained to me, a meeting of all the demon lords in Rimuru's world. I wonder what that would be like. I'm kind of curious about the other demon lords, since the ones I've already met haven't been like I thought they'd be. Rimuru is, well, Rimuru. Ramirez is cheerful, bubbly, and kind of childish. Leon was scary, but I didn't get an evil impression from him. None have been what I expected from someone with the title Demon Lord, and I know there are a few others. I also heard about one of them while in Hinata's class, someone called the Destroyer? Malim, I think. Apparently this person is Rimuru's friend, but I never met anyone named that while I was in Tempest. Hey, Iruma, Rimuru says in between mouthfuls of food. We're eating dinner right now. What? Wanna come with me to Walpurgis this weekend? Did Rimuru just read my mind or something? Won't that be dangerous? I ask, still apprehensive about going to something like that. I'm curious about it, but that doesn't stop my anxiety from kicking in at the thought of being in a room full of ridiculously powerful people. Not with me there. I'm the strongest one out of all of them. That's okay, right, Sullivan? I don't see any problem, as long as my precious Iruma's safety is assured. Why do you want me to go? I thought that you said you didn't want me to get involved in Demon Lord politics. The circumstances have changed a little since then. I need someone to play a special role for me, and I think you're perfect for it, Rimuru replies as she takes another bite of her dinner. Special role? Grandpa asks. You see, we have a new person joining us this time, and I wanted to play a little prank on them. I'm going to have someone pretend to be me while I pretend to be their attendant. I want to see if the new guy can figure out the truth or not. All my subordinates would hate the idea of me pretending to serve them, so I need someone who sees me as an equal. Iruma's perfect for that. Plus, I think it'll be a good learning experience for him, Rimuru explains to Grandpa. I forced myself to swallow what I was eating, shocked by what Rimuru was suggesting. You want me to pretend to be a demon lord? Yeah, it's not as hard as you think. I'll help you out too, so you have nothing to worry about, Rimuru says with a carefree smile as if what she just proposed is normal. I'll be safe, right? They won't kill me? Nah, none of the current demon lords will try anything. The new candidate is weak too, from what I've gathered, so he's not a threat either. Rimuru stares at me expectantly. I feel a little uncomfortable about the idea, but I'm also very curious at the same time. As long as Rimuru promises that it's safe, I guess I'll do it. Great! I'm glad that that's all sorted now. One less thing to worry about. What are you worried about, Rimuru? Grandpa asks. Oh, I'm just not too happy with what I have to wear to Walpurgis, that's all. I got peer pressured into using a certain outfit that's not something I'd normally wear, Rimuru says, grimacing. Is it some kind of dress? I ask, recognizing that expression from when Rimuru had fallen victim to Shuna playing dress-up with her. I don't want to think about it, Rimuru says bluntly. I must be right, otherwise Rimuru would have responded properly. You'll see it when it's time. She stands up from the dinner table. I'm gonna go rest. See you tomorrow. I finish eating and decide to head to my room as well. As I'm about to open the door to my bedroom, I hear the murmur of Rimuru talking to someone. I open her door a crack and peek. Rimuru is pacing back and forth, holding her hand near her face with the ring on her pinky close to her lips as if she's talking to it. I swear, Guy, if you so much as touch my stand-in, I'll... She grumbles, continuing to talk, but I'm not able to make out what she's saying when she turns away from me. Is Rimuru warning one of the other demon lords not to hurt me? She sounds pretty serious. I silently close the door and retreat to my room. And that concludes Chapter 41 of Rimuru and Iruma's Adventures in the Netherworld. I hope you enjoyed, my lovelies. I thought I'd do a little double chapter since I missed a couple weeks. It's been a crazy couple weeks, but these both were short enough that I could get away with a double chapter for y'all. I hope you have a wonderful next week, my lovelies, and hopefully I will see you again on Saturday. Bye-bye.